Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be a top 5, bottom 5 with Colourpop. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I haven't mentioned the brand Colourpop like solidly for a while now, and I have my reasons for that, which I will also unpack as we're going through the video, but I just thought that I could tell you about some of my favorite Colourpop products, as well as some of the things that I've tried that I didn't like. Colourpop is a brand that I think the past 5 or 6 years I've shopped from them through Black Friday sales, and that tends to be the only time of the year I still look into Colourpop, you could say. I don't think they are still the brand that they were a couple of years ago when everybody was raving about them. But they have since kept things around for longer, and they're not doing as many releases as they used to, I feel. So I do think they have slowed down, which is a good thing. So let's talk Colourpop. So first things first, me and Colourpop, we have a bit of a love-hate relationship. I remember when Colourpop first came on the scene, everybody in the US was raving about like this being a new drugstore brand, and it was all made in-house, and how affordable it was. It's not affordable if you're not in the US. Let me put that out there. If you're expecting Wet n Wild, Essence, Catrice kind of pricing from Colourpop, if you're not in the EU or if you're not in the US, then I think you're going to be very disappointed. Colourpop is only sold in the US. The best way to get it if you're in the if you're anywhere really, is the Colourpop website. They do sell things at Ulta in the US, but that's a place I cannot shop from. And if you've been curious and you're in the EU for Colourpop products, then, it can be worth it. That's why I personally wait around for sales. If I then make sure that I hit the free shipping mark for international shipping, I feel it kind of plays out to paying for the products what they would be full price. And you do need to bear in mind that you stay under like the legal threshold, whatever. So there's a whole thing here. I have a little bit of a system, you could say, for buying Colourpop. But yeah, the only way to get them is through their official website, and that just makes it really expensive because of all of the customs and shipping and handling fees that are being added when the package arrives at your door. However, in recent years, Colourpop has improved on those things, where for a lot of countries, they now allow you to already pay the custom and handling fees in advance, so that you're not hit with any surprise payments that you still need to make in order to receive the package. Colourpop customer service, I've not had great experience with. And I think that's due to the fact that I'm used to EU customer service, which is a lot better. With Colourpop customer service, I feel you really need to advocate for yourself and say what you want them to do for them to get you to refund something if it comes broken or something like that. I've definitely had things come broken to me and all that, and that had then sold out. So their first initial offer is to give you a gift voucher for the monetary value of the item, but for me that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I know I have to directly say to them that I want a refund for that product, and that I've always gotten the refund, but it's never the initial offer that you'll get from customer services. And especially if you do order in high volume times of the year, such as Black Friday, it can take a very long time for them to get back to you as well. So with Colourpop, I feel there are pros and cons to ordering through the website to begin with, as are the products. And then you need to decide for yourself whether you will find this worth it or not. So with Colourpop, I'm going to talk about the positive things first, because there's only a few items that I still have in my makeup collection personally to even be able to do a top 5. So my top 5 is actually going to consist of 2 products that I don't even have, but that I know they can do really well and that I did really like when I still had them. So I'll just pop some pictures up on the screen of the different things I'm talking about. First things first, the thing that I will be getting from Colourpop. This thing is on the wish list. This is something I will be buying from Colourpop in the Black Friday sale. This is the Pretty Fresh setting spray. This is my final bottle. It's the only setting spray I use. I don't use anything else ever since I found this. I have dry skin. Most setting sprays I find are far too drying because the aim of a setting spray is to make your makeup last. And very often I find they have some sort of alcohol in that dries out the makeup. It looks really pretty initially, but then it doesn't really look right after a couple of hours. I get a lot of caking, my powders start to clump together. It never really looks really beautiful anymore after a long day of wear. I know a lot of people like MAC Fix Plus. I've never liked that on my face because I find that that's more of a hydrating mist, and it's great for rehydrating your makeup if it looks a little bit dry, but I don't find it's good as a setting spray. And this is sort of like if MAC Fix Plus also set your makeup. That's how I feel about this product. So that's why this is a standout for me. I think I'm going to be buying like 2 or 3 of them. Setting spray is a product that I can get through really, really quickly. I've tried many others in the past. I like this better than the Charlotte Tilbury. I like this better than the Urban Decay All Nighter. You name any sort of more high-end setting spray, and I've usually tried it if I was able to, and very often I've always come back to this. And those setting sprays I go through really quickly, as in just a couple of weeks of use and a large bottle is already gone. With this, I've already had this in my Shop My Stash for months, and it's about 2/3 of the way done. I will probably not be able to use this up before the end of the year. This is probably going to last me until the end of January, early February. This lasts months. I only need a little bit. The spritzer on it is nice. It can leak, so I do keep mine upright at all times. Just prevent that from happening, but it works wonders, and I really love this. And that was like my reason for wanting to sit down to film this video. Then my number 2 product, which I've raved about in the past as well, I'm again just holding up my favorites. If you saw Drugstore Week last week, you heard me raving about this. If you saw my Edinburgh vlog and you saw the little bit of makeup that I took with me on that trip, you will have seen this in my travel makeup bag as well, because the Colourpop Super Shock eyeshadows are some of my favorites for travel. I love traveling with these. I also love them layered over like deeper bases. I love Frog with a certain thing, and I have Sailor with a certain thing. I've actually decluttered some of these in the past and then missed the shades in my collection, so I repurchased them. These I have backups of. So these are the 2 shades that if you want any Colourpop Super Shock, look into Ritz and So Quiche. My Ritz is very dinky because it's been used so much that it actually has a bit of powder like breaking loose the entire time. But here's what mine looks like. It's very low. I've hit pan, and you can just see how little product is left in here. I think if I take it on another trip, or if I were to really commit to this in 2025, I can use this up very, very easily. Because it is so far down, it does feel a lot drier than it did when it was new, and that's why there's little flakes like breaking off every single time. So I have to be very careful with it every single time I open it. And then the other shade I love pairing it with, because Ritz by itself, a really pretty nude beige shade with a silver sparkle, it's great by itself, but I love layering it with So Quiche. So when I travel, I will very often use So Quiche as liner on the lower lash line. Sometimes I'll use this as a deeper base and then just pop a little bit of Ritz on top to add more sparkle. And with these 2 shades, I already get so many different looks. I love it. Here's what So Quiche looks like. We have slight weird lighting today because it's like raining and sunny at the same time. So it's sometimes a bit gloomy, and then all of a sudden you get this burst of sun, and the sun is over there. So there's a lot of light coming in from this, and then this is where the rain is. So it's a bit weird in terms of lighting. But as you can see, it does really nicely capture the shift that this has. This is like a taupey green brown with a gold green purpley pink shift. It's really pretty, but it has the depth that I sometimes need with Ritz. So that's why those 2 shades are my favorite. I wear it every single trip I do. Whenever I need to pack an overnight bag, I take those 2 shades with me. They're small, they're dinky, they can be applied with fingers. super easy to use. And the third product I want to recommend to you from Colourpop are their eyeshadow palettes. I think Colourpop eyeshadow palettes is still sort of like their bread and butter. And I definitely think that because eyeshadow palettes aren't super trending at the minute, we're more like blush and lip product oriented at the minute, I feel. Eyeshadow palettes are not necessarily doing the best at the minute, but I still think it's a good solid product. These are my two favorites. These are two that I haven't rearranged. I rearranged so many of my Colourpop palettes because the color stories can be a bit matte. But that's taupe. I've never felt the need to rearrange because it is a great cooler tone palette. It's not fully cool toned and it can be quite dark if that's what you're looking for. And then the Pretty Please came out on top when I did a palette battle with my Colourpop palettes earlier in the year, and I really like it. We get cooler tones, we get warmer tones, we get some really nice neutrals. It's mauve, it's purple, it's lilac, it's got a little bit of everything in here. This also has Super Shocks in there, in the formula, and I really like this palette. This was actually a recommendation by my subscribers that I should try this and that I would probably love it, and they were absolutely right. So the Pretty Please is another favorite of mine, and as much as I like to rearrange my Colourpop eyeshadows, I do think the quality of most Colourpop eyeshadow palettes are really good, so that's another standout product from the line for me. Then the last two things I want to rave about from Colourpop are products I no longer have, and you might wonder, Micah, if you no longer have them, then why are they in your top 5? Because I had shades that I had in other formulas that I liked better. So a lot of the shades I own from Colourpop in the lippy sticks and in the Luxe glosses, because that's what we're talking about. They're both lip products. They're regular like twist up lipstick pens, the lippy sticks, and their gloss formula, which is the Luxe gloss. But the shades were too similar to things I already owned. So that's why they were decluttered, because if I have so many things, like I can only keep so many things around in my house, right, and use up, as I'm just one person using makeup. But yeah, I do think that those two products are really solid. I remember I had this gorgeous red shade that I used to wear all the time, and then there was the Luxe Gloss. Again, I don't remember the shade that I really loved as well. It was this really pretty nude shade with a bit of sparkle, very hydrating. And I felt that the Luxe Glosses, formula-wise, were ahead of its time because they were the kind of formula that really remind me of like what most lip tints kind of do. Like the lip oil trend that we had last year. I'm wearing one today from Catrice. And I felt like those Colourpop Luxe Glosses were very similar to like your average lip tint, lip oil kind of thing. So they're very thick, but that's what I liked about them. And the lippy sticks had amazing colors, and they still do both products. But that brings me to my bottom 5, because in the bottom 5, I would categorize most complexion products I've tried from Colourpop. I've tried many things. I've tried powders, I've tried cream products, but I don't know why. I've never really gotten into using my Super Shock highlighters, for instance. So for me, something like Flexitarian, everybody was using. I used to own that. I used to own Hippo, which was a really pretty lilac-y thing. I don't know if they still do that. Super pretty, super duper pretty, but I never reached for that formula because the Super Shock cheek formula isn't quite a cream and it isn't quite a powder. So I always struggled using it because it cannot really be applied with a brush, but it also doesn't blend really well with fingers. So then I was like, you know what? I just want either a cream or a liquid highlighter, or I want a powder and not this like in-betweeny kind of thing that's just really difficult to pick up. So that's why the Super Shock highlighters have never been my favorite. Number 2 would go to the blushes from Colourpop. Again, really pretty, but because I can only buy it online, I would always go by the swatches I could find on the website and the color description. And the amount of times that Colourpop has called a blush cool toned and I get it home and it doesn't look cool toned on me, I cannot count on one hand. I've tried so many. I've tried Super Shock blushes. I've tried powder blushes. I've tried so many different things, and it was never quite right. And then if I found a shade from Colourpop that I did like, it was so similar to other things I already had that I always preferred those other shades over other things. So yes, they can do nice blushes. If you like those formulas, then go for it. But for me, the shade selection wasn't quite right in terms of blushes. The Colourpop blush ranges tend to be a little bit boring, in my opinion. The blushes that I did have around for a longer time, I ended up never using because they just had a bit of a weird formula. So never liked those products at all. For complexion, I've reviewed a lot of the concealers and foundations that they have as well. I think I've tried all products from the Pretty Fresh line, in fact. I tried the Pretty Fresh foundation. I tried the Pretty Fresh moisturizer, the tinted moisturizer. Oh my word. I love that on my skin. It was so pretty, but it expired so quickly. Like, I had opened mine and then it got little weird green flecks in the tube, and then I no longer dared using it. And then I did repurchase it because I was like, I love this product, so I don't want it to be out of my life. And then I was like, but if I open it now, I will still not be able to use it up before I can actually use it up because I have so many other foundation products, and foundations is a product I love testing out. So I always have multiple new foundations coming in, and it takes me quite a bit of effort trying to use up actually older foundations. And I was like, it's such a waste of product if I were to open it now just to use it once or twice and then have it expire on me again. So I decluttered it and I passed it on to a better home so someone can get a lot more use out of it. And that's definitely been an issue with some of my Colourpop products. One of the reasons why I've decluttered so much Colourpop is because it doesn't last. Sometimes I know people in the EU get a little bit peeved about the fact that it's so expensive and difficult to get Colourpop over here. But the reason why Colourpop isn't sold in the EU, at least that's my theory, I don't know if I'm right, so allegedly, but I think Colourpop just doesn't meet the consumer market standards for makeup sold in the EU. And I think that's why they're not more readily available. And I think that Colourpop is just doing well enough with everything that they already buy, that they sell to customers from their website, that there is no need for them to like make a storefront or like a shipping facility within the EU. I definitely think that that's the case. And I think the reason why their products aren't sold here is because they just don't meet the certification that's needed to be sold here. That's my gut feeling. That's all it is. It's gut feeling. I have no proof, but that's how I feel about it, because Colourpop products can expire really quickly. And then number 4 would be any of the concealers I've tried. I think I tried the Pretty Fresh concealer. That was okay. But what was the other thing called? The liquid, or I think I'm messing it up with e.l.f. I no longer remember, but they also had like their first concealer and then the Pretty Fresh came later. And I know I tried the other one as well, and that was just a hot mess on me. I've got dry skin. I already said it at the start of the video. It looked so crepey. Like, the shade match is great because Colourpop does great shade matches in the complexion ranges, but the formulas aren't always the best. So I definitely had some issues with both of the concealers actually, and also the Pretty Fresh foundation that I ended up trying. Just, it wasn't quite right for what my skin wanted. And then finally, another thing I just didn't like are any of their primers. I've tried several. The Pretty Fresh was still the most successful one for me because it was more of a hydrating vibe, but it still dried out my skin. So even though it had hydrating properties according to the packaging, I think it's the hyaluronic acid in that product. If I use too much hyaluronic acid, or it's the wrong type of hyaluronic acid, it actually dries out my skin. And that's the property that hyaluronic acid has. It can actually, while it sits on your skin, it can actually draw moisture out rather than putting it into your face. So for me, hyaluronic acid, I have found, isn't the be-all and end-all that a lot of people claimed it to be, which is why the Pretty Fresh primer also wasn't great. And it had a bit of a weird scent, and it got gloopy after a while as well. So that one I also stopped using. So yeah, with Colourpop, they do really lovely things. There are some things that I think are very much worth it, which are the things that were in my top 5, but definitely not everything. And you do have to like use your brain. Will this be worth it for you? Once you see all the totals being add up, just know that you're very often charged an additional third of the price of your package before you receive it. That's just the way it is. That's the law. They cannot do anything about it. That's the way the world works. So don't come to like Colourpop and like blame them for charging you extra. I've seen a lot of people being angry about that because then people buy things in the sale and then Colourpop puts the prices on the package, and then the shipping and handling fees are calculated over the full price, and then people were angry for that. But that's actually the law. Like Colourpop is legally bound to put the full price on the package. So what do you want them to do? They cannot do something just because you bought something in the sale. They can't alter their prices. You know, that's not the actual price of the product, and they have to list the actual price. So be mindful if you are not in the US, how you shop Colourpop, when you shop Colourpop, how much you get in one go, and that you don't like end up buying like 500 euros worth of makeup. Dip your toe in, try out a couple of things, make sure it's just enough to get free shipping, and then if you get a sale, like I mentioned, that's been my system for years. That's how I get some Colourpop stuff in, and I do like them. And I think to hit free shipping, I'll probably like add another eyeshadow palette just for funsies, just to test it out, because the So Elemental is pulling on my heartstrings. It has ever since it was launched. And maybe the Twilight palette. So yeah, that's my top 5, bottom 5 with Colourpop. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me. I make several videos every single week, so if you'd like to stay tuned for more, and then hope to see you again in my next one. See you soon. Bye-bye.